Alright, hello guys and welcome back to the Microsoft PowerPoint lessons and course here on Learn.io. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about inserting elements and how to spruce up your presentation just a little bit. But before that, let's go over opening documents that you've saved before once again. So down here you have your recent documents. You can always use this to open a presentation you've been working on recently. If you've pinned a presentation, that's what this symbol is. I've already pinned this, so this would unpin it. Over here, I could click this to pin this. Then you go to the pin section. It'll show all of the presentations that you've pinned in the order in which you pinned them. Shared with me will show presentations that other people have sent to you and that you've downloaded from the internet. Another way to find your recent presentations is going to the Open tab here on the left, and you can see all of your presentations, your older ones, your more recent ones, your pinned ones, etc., etc. And you can just click on this twice to open it. For whatever reason, that messes up my recording software. So I already have the presentation open that I want to work on for today. And so if you can see, this is actually the same layout that was here. I just used this geometric color book theme for my presentation, just to give it some color, some flair when we start it up. All right, so, simple first thing to do. What is a triangle? It's a shape with three sides. Mind-blowing, right? But just like that, you can add text. You click on a text box, and you can just type away, tip-tap, and you've got your text done. But let's say I want to go a little more in depth. What is a triangle, and what is not a triangle, right? Well, for that, I'd either resize this box and then add another one, or I could just go to Layout and do To Content, Shape with three sides. And I'm just going to ignore the design ideas for now, since I actually kind of like this layout. It is not a shape with no sides. You know, something like that, right? But it doesn't always work out that cleanly to where, oh, you just need two different columns. You just have half your screen be one, half be the other. I know I use PowerPoint, especially when I'm labeling things. I need to add, labeling things for diagrams for physics and other science classes. I use PowerPoint to make my diagrams, and so I use text boxes to label. And I'll actually show that off in just a minute. If you need to add more text boxes, how to do that. So, I don't know, what would a presentation about triangles be without a picture of a triangle? So how do you add images? Well, it's pretty simple. You go to the Insert tab, and you can insert images from online, take screenshots, use some from your photo album, or you just click on Pictures. It'll send you to your computer's files, and then find the image that you want to use. So mine's on my desktop. It's the triangle image. I'll insert it. Boom. Now you can resize it and do whatever you want with it. Again, don't really need design ideas right now. And here you can see it also gives you an alt text option. So if I click on alt text up here, I can type in basically if a Siri or other personal assistant is reading the presentation for somebody who's blind, or if there's a translator reading it while you're giving a presentation, kind of signing it for them if they're deaf and blind. Explaining it to them if they can't necessarily hear or see your presentation. The translator can then tell them, hey, this is what the image is and this is what it signifies. So for this, I could say that it is it's a triangle, a simple triangle. Oh, sorry, that just automatically generated it. It does have that option to automatically generate one. Let me try that again. And if I just close this, whenever I present it, that is the alternate text that will appear and that software will use when it's reading it. But you'll notice the background of the image doesn't really work with the background of this presentation. So there's a couple of ways to fix it. If I click on this, automatically it'll take me to the picture format slide. I can do a whole bunch of things to change the picture. I can add a border to it. I can give it some effects. I can kind of give it like a highlight, make it blurry, make it more transparent, alter its coloration, make corrections, basically make it brighter, darker, more contrast, etc. Or I can remove background. It's a really useful thing. I don't believe Google Slides has the same feature. It's very useful in PowerPoint. But if you can see here, everything in purple is going to be deleted. Anything that's kind of dark and in its original color is going to be kept. So if you'll notice, only this tiny bit of the triangle is going to be kept so far. The software is not perfect, so it gives you the option to mark areas to keep or remove. So I'm going to mark the rest of the triangle to keep. Kind of slowly pick all of this. Oh, that did pretty well. I'm going to pick this whole area. I'm going to pick this bottom row. I'm going to pick this area to keep. There we go. If I click here, boom, kept the whole triangle. But that's a little hard to do sometimes, especially when you have more complicated images that you're dealing with. So for triangles, for example, another easy way to add it, just go to Shapes, click down, and it gives you all sorts of shapes, callouts, etc. Oh, accidentally clicked on one, to use. So if I wanted a triangle, just go to Shapes, Basic Shapes, Triangle right here, Right Triangle. I just want just a normal, regular, isosceles triangle. Put this in the center, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff I can do with it. I can change the fill color. I can give it no fill, which basically means it's just a border. I can change the outline color to be black. I can change the outline size, weight it 6, so now it looks exactly like the other triangle did. A whole bunch of stuff I can do here. And now, if I want to kind of make a point of, oh yes, this is a triangle, it has 3 sides. I was talking earlier about adding text boxes. Well, if you go to Insert, and go down here slightly more to the right, you can also add text boxes. So you click on text box, drag for how big you want the text box to be, side 1. Cool. And then if I wanted an arrow pointing to it, Shapes has arrows as well. You can make it attached to one end of the text box. That's more useful if you give the text box a border. So if I give this an outline, weight this 3, see now the arrow is pointing from the box, whereas otherwise it was kind of pointing it from the middle of the air. So it's nice to give it that kind of border. Remember, Control Z is undo. If you forget that, there's the undo button up here, and there is the redo button right next to it. So that's kind of how you add images and different things like that. You can insert icons as well. It's a little more complicated. You have a lot of really fancy, cool little icons you can add. I think I mentioned last time Slides Carnival and Go Slides, other such websites. Their themes often have a lot of really cool icons that they give you along with them. So you won't always need to use this, but it's just a nice thing to keep in mind. 3D models, don't worry too much about unless you're really into 3D modeling or animation. Then you can kind of import your 3D models, especially if you're doing an engineering presentation or an animation presentation. You can show off your designs really well using those. But let's just add a new slide for the time being. Remember, the slide I'm currently on is the kind of slide that it'll add, unless I'm on the title, then it'll just add a content slide. And let's say we wanted to add a table to this. I wanted to show off how many sides each shape has. Just click on Table. I can choose how big I want the table. Well, okay, so my top row, I'll say shape and then number of sides. I'll do a circle, triangle, square, and pentagon. Sure. And I can make this whole thing much bigger. It'll automatically resize everything. And I can change the color to make it maybe a little more appealing to younger children. And then I can title everything, make it shape, number of sides. And I can do circle, triangle, if I could spell, square, pentagon, and then I could just go around. 1, 3, 4, 5. Simple as that, right? And one other thing that you can insert is, I'm going to move this over to the side. Yes, these little things on the corner help you resize your elements. And if you click on the side, you can move anything around as much as you want. I can also insert a chart. Now, if you don't entirely understand charts, they're relatively simple to use. For this, I might use a column chart. Let's use this one. Sure, I could also do radar, surface. There's all sorts of charts. You'll learn eventually about it in math and science and different classes. We won't be getting too much into that right now. Let's just insert a column chart. And if you don't understand Excel, you don't really need to, because here, you have category 1. In this case, circle, right? circle, my second category, and you can see category 1's name changes as soon as I change circle. Triangle, because this chart is supposed to show the information on the data table. Square, and then pentagon. And this has 3 series, which basically means 3 bars per category. I don't really want that, so I'm just going to highlight all of the extra information, tap delete, boom, it's gone. Now I just have 1 category, 1, 3, 4, 5. And that's all I need. Click X, and it's done. I can double click on chart title to change the title. Sides per shape. My science teacher would hate that I called the table or the chart that, but you know what, we're going to go with it. You'll also notice that we have format plot area. Basically, if I click here, click on the plus, and I click on the side on any of these, and click more options, it gives me all of these different things I can do with it. For that, we're not really going to get into it. I do recommend you just kind of mess around a little bit, see what each different setting does. But yeah, one last thing kind of to keep in mind. So if you see here, if I move this table right here, well, now the numbers are being covered up. It's kind of absurd to think of it in this way for the table and the chart. But if you have multiple images and text, a lot of times your images can cover up your text. And if you don't want that to happen, a good way to fix it is this arrange button right here. Right now I have the chart selected, so if I arrange this, I can send it backwards, which basically means sends it 1 layer back, so now it's behind the table rather than in front of it. If I have a whole bunch of layers, right, let's say I insert a bunch of shapes. I got a square right here, I insert, I don't know, a circle right here. Let's make it a different color so you can tell. And I insert like a triangle right on top of them right there, right? I could choose to immediately send this triangle all the way to the back. For that, when I'm on this shape format, or the format slide, there's the send forward and backwards options. Another way to do it really is you go to the home tab, arrange, and I can just go send to back. Boom, that's now the furthest back thing in this entire presentation. I can move it next to anything. Whatever it's near will always be behind it. I can now do the opposite as well. I could go arrange, bring to front. Now, no matter what I put it in front of, it'll always be in the foreground. It'll always cover anything else up. You can do that with really any element that you have on your slides, which is pretty useful. So hopefully that teaches you a little bit about how to insert various things into your slides. I do recommend kind of keeping your slides kind of more image heavy, using less text. Use your voice to convey the information you want to convey. Your slides should just be support. So don't go too overboard with all of these. And yeah, I hope you learned something.